In today's video, we're going to discuss how to solve ratios and rates word problems. This is still part of Unit 6, so our color for Unit 6 is red. A little bit of vocabulary review to start with. A ratio that compares two quantities measured in different units is a rate. Two different units, for example, could be miles and hours. All right, when solving proportions, word problems, the units in the numerators of the two fractions must match, and the units in the denominators of the two fractions must match. We then use cross multiplication to solve, just like before. So example 1, a worker can complete an assembly of 15 iPods in 6 hours. At this rate, how many iPods can the worker complete in a 40-hour work week? So our two units are iPods. So we're measuring the number of iPods, and we're measuring the number of hours. Okay, so to set up our proportion, we need to make sure that the units in the numerators match. So we would use iPods and iPods. And then the units in the denominators match. Hours and hours. So in the first one, we think how many iPods? It's 15 iPods. And that was done in a time frame of 6 hours. So that would make up our first fraction, 15 iPods in 6 hours. At this rate, how many iPods? We don't know how many, and when we have an unknown, we use a variable, so we put in X. Can the worker complete in 40-hour work week? So that would be 40 hours. And then we would cross multiply and solve. So 15 times 40 is equal to 6 times x, or 6x. We use our calculator and do 15 times 40, and we get 600 is equal to 6x. And then we would divide both sides by 6 in order to solve that equation. And 600 divided by 6 gives us 100 is equal to x. So our final answer would be 100, and we want to make sure we include the correct units, iPods. Right. Example number 2. If 3 pounds of apples cost 90 cents, how much will 10 pounds cost? So our first units, pounds. And pounds is abbreviated LBS. Costs 90 cents. So we're measuring cost, and cost is measured in dollars and cents. All right, so 3 pounds of apples is equal to 90 cents is equal to how much will 10 pounds cost? So we have 10 pounds, and we are looking for the cost, so we put in the variable in for the cost. So cross multiply, 3 times x is 3x is equal to 0.9 times 10, which is going to give me 9. In order to solve that equation, I would need to divide both sides by 3. So I have x is equal to 3. And we're measuring the cost, so my final answer would be $3. All right, last example for today. In order to determine the number of deer in a forest ranger tags 280 and releases them back into the woods. Later, 405 deer are caught, out of which 45 are tagged. Estimate how many deer are in the forest. So the two things we're looking at are the tagged deer and then the number of deer total. It's a little bit trickier to identify the units on this one. So for our first proportion, to determine the number of deer in a forest ranger tags 280 of them and then releases them back into the woods. So of all the deer in the woods, we have 280 that have tags, and we don't know how many deer are in the woods. That's what we're looking for. Okay, equals, later 405 deer are caught. That's how many total were caught, so 405 deer, out of which 45 are tagged. So we have 45 tagged. So again, cross multiply and solve. 280 times 405 is equal to 45 times x, or 45x. So 280 times 405 is equal to 113,400, and that's still equal to 45x. So in order to solve that, we would divide both sides by 45. Divide by 45. And I get 2,520 is equal to x. And then we want to make sure we include our units in the final answer, and that would be deer. So there are about 2,520 deer in the forest.